Hello everybody, welcome to Ask Tetsu. 皆さん、Ask Tetsu へようこそ。このビデオの、日本語バージョンはこちらをクリックしてください。Today, I would like to introduce myself a little more in depth, tell you a little bit about my background, how I grew up, and how I eventually became a so-called polyglot, or multilingual, as some would say. I grew up in Taiwan mainly. I was actually born in Hong Kong. My father is Taiwanese and my mother is Japanese, but they met in Hong Kong. And we all moved back to Taiwan before I turned 1. And in Taiwan, the main language is Mandarin. So I spoke Mandarin because we lived in Taiwan. My father is Taiwanese. I also spoke Japanese, even though I grew up in Taiwan, because my mother is Japanese. I spoke Japanese exclusively with her. In Taiwan, there are also two major dialects or languages. One is Hakka, and the other is Taiwanese. Taiwanese is actually spoken by about 70-75% of the people in Taiwan. So that's 4 languages that I was exposed to pretty much shortly after birth. And then I was sent to an American school when I was 6, and that was the introduction of English. So my formal education is not actually in Mandarin, but actually in English. And then so I spent another 6-7 years going through kindergarten and elementary school in Taiwan. But after graduating from that school, my parents sent me to Canada, and more specifically to Quebec, Canada, where many of you know it's actually a French province. So at the age of 13, now I was introduced to French, and that would be the 6th language. And so a few years at this French high school, I was studying not the French language, but actually studying in French. And that allowed me to really deepen my knowledge, of course, in French. And after graduating from high school, I had an opportunity to go to South America to visit a friend. And that's my opportunity to learn Spanish, and that would be my 7th, right? Is that correct? 7th language. And so that was really through an informal way, autodidactic. I guess I picked up some books, grammar books, and just off you go. And I picked up Spanish while I was that was Ecuador that we went to, and also improved quite a bit after coming back to Canada. Through friends, through partying, and a lot of more studies by myself. Up to a point where I was strong enough in Spanish to actually pick up gigs as an interpreter. I've even flown to other countries and hired to do these contracts as a Spanish interpreter. Well, actually Spanish Japanese, or Spanish English, or Spanish French, or that kind of thing. So that's the 7th one. And then the 8th one would be German, which I studied this time formally at the university, 4 credits. I studied until I finished my intermediate level. Although today I wouldn't consider myself very good in German. I could probably hold a short conversation, not very deep, not talking about politics or philosophy, but just very superficial stuff. And while I was studying German, I also got a little greedy, and I picked up Italian, which I also did up to the intermediate level. And both German and Italian, I have my credits, but neither of these I would consider myself fluent in. And finally, the 10th language is Portuguese, which I also picked up while traveling, and I must admit Portuguese is really close to Spanish. So since I was quite strong in Spanish already, Portuguese came along pretty naturally. And today, if people ask me how many languages I speak, I would always respond with 5. These are the 5 that I speak fluently, and that's English, French, Japanese, Mandarin, and Spanish. I would say in that order. Japanese and French depending on the days. I would say they're pretty similar. So those are the 5 languages I speak fluently, and another 5 that I have been exposed to, that I had studied or just simply exposed to when I was young. And my advice, I guess, that I will be giving all of you throughout all the videos that are coming up on this channel are based on how I grew up, how I was raised by my parents, and also through my experience actually learning languages myself, and a lot of literature that I've been reading, and a lot of things that I had learned from my friends and from colleagues in the language world online that I know. So anyways, that's a short introduction. I know there will be many more opportunities for us to interact, and I will, if you have any questions, if you want to know about me more, different aspects, definitely just comment, and I will try to answer what I can as soon as I can. Okay, thank you. We'll talk to you again.